This channel is part of the History Hit network.
On February 8, 2001, in a downtown area of Chengdu, China, construction workers stumble upon a remarkable archaeological discovery. Experts dub it one of the most important discoveries of this century. These are the spoils found at the excavation site known as Jinsha. Archaeologists find a treasure trove of more than mere jade and gold. They uncover several burial grounds with thousands of human remains, all facing southeast. You found remains, human remains of young men with their hands bound behind their back. Was this a sign of human sacrifice? Who were these people discovered at the Jinsha ruins? How powerful was their king? And why did their civilization disappear? This is a huge site. I am Dr. Agnes Hsu, archaeologist in the Director China Institute. You guys have to capture this. This is ivory coming up. I'm on a quest to solve the mystery of the lost city of Jinsha. The Yellow River. Many consider it the backbone of Chinese civilization. This was China at the time of unification in 221 BCE, ruled by the first emperor of Qin. 1,000 years before that, a dynasty of kings known as the Shang ruled the central plain of the Yellow River. For so long, the Central Plain is thought to be the only birthplace of Chinese culture. Not anymore. The discovery at Jinsha is forcing historians and archaeologists to rethink this. An independent culture thrived around the same time as the Shang dynasty. This was a kingdom locked between mountains and valleys in an area known as the Sichuan Basin. My quest as an archaeologist is to dig deeper into who these mysterious people were and what their society was like. Very little is known about this kingdom. The people who inhabited ancient Chengdu left no written records. Our only knowledge about them come from texts of other rival cultures. And they were called the Shu people.
If you love history, then you'll love History Hit. Our extensive library of documentaries features everything from the ancient origins of our earliest ancestors to the daring mission to sink the Bismarck. History Hit has hundreds of exclusive documentaries with unrivaled access to the world's best historians. We're committed to bringing history fans award-winning documentaries and podcasts that you cannot find anywhere else. Sign up now for a free trial, and Timeline fans get 50% off their first 3 months. Just be sure to use the code TIMELINE at checkout.
Chengdu is a modern city that's going through rapid economic changes. Over 200 of the Fortune 500 companies are based here. This is an old city that its ancient seat is in Jinsha. I'm on my way to Jinsha, about 3 miles from the city center. My quest is to unravel the mystery of this lost kingdom and its forgotten people. I want to find out how the civilization flourished and how it was suddenly wiped out from history. What did these ancient people believe in? Did they die in a ritual of human sacrifice? Their bloody secrets buried for thousands of years? The man leading this from day one is archaeologist Zhu Zhangyi. He's dedicated most of his life to uncovering the mysteries of Jinsha. This is just awe-inspiring as an archaeologist to be here. Tell us about the discovery of Jinsha.
金沙实际上它也是一次意外的一种发现。当时修道路的时候，那么挖下水管道，发现了大量的玉器铜器。它是发现的时间是在2001年的2月8号。受当地的村民就把那个报给上级文物主管部门，也说公安局了。那么最后的话通知我们，我们是2月8号的晚上回到成都，那么2月9号的早上一早的话来到那个现场，当时非常非常的惊讶，很多很多的文物就在地下。看到这种文物的话，我们激动得不得了。那是一个考古学家一生所追求的、梦寐以求的东西，我们终于发现了。
是。Zhu and his team find thousands of artifacts of significant value. Jade daggers and ornaments. Gigantic elephant tusks. Gold objects. He believes this is no ordinary site of the ancient Shu people. Zhu thinks this may be their sacrificial grounds. I did not realize that Jinsha site is so big. Can you show us the development of this archaeological site, where we are and where we're going?
这张图就是大体是我们整个金沙遗址的一个范围。我们现在这个是我们现在博物馆整个博物馆。实际上整个金沙遗址我们现在从我们考古发掘的情况，它主要分成3块，这是最核心的一块，并且出土的文物也是最多的，发掘面积也是最大的。
The Jinsha site consists of more than 10 areas. They include the palace site and several burial areas. I'm overwhelmed with what I'm seeing here, but my preliminary investigation only leads to more questions. So, Dr. Zhu, was there human sacrifice here?
在金沙遗址，我们发现了2000多种墓葬，实际上这种墓葬都是小型的一种墓葬。那么在目前来讲，没有发现人殉的一种情况。但是我们也不敢就这样就推断它古代蜀人就一定没有人殉。为什么讲？因为我们可能要等待大型墓葬或者王陵的发现，看是不是它还有那个地方有没有人殉。
It's an intriguing question that requires me to look for more clues. Having come across such a huge mystery, it reminds me of my childhood when I would spend hours in the dirt looking for something, pretending to be a detective. Being an archaeologist is like being a detective, in search of historical puzzles and answers to these puzzles. That has always been a motivating factor for me. I was an odd bird growing up in Taiwan. Unlike other girls, I was a tomboy who enjoyed playing in the dirt. And I liked digging things up. I wanted to be an archaeologist even before I knew the term archaeology. When I first saw Indiana Jones, I wanted to be Indiana Jones. Unlocking history's mysteries is still a thrill for me. And the Jinsha mystery is the biggest thrill of all. And this thrill couldn't get any bigger when a critical clue is found. March 5th, 2001, a month after archaeologists begin excavating at Jinsha, a discovery that shocks the world. A small stone statue about 17 centimeters tall. I'm looking at an ancient face of despair. Look at the exaggerated lack of eyes. Look at the flattened mouth and his hands bound behind his back. He's kneeling in a position ready to face his tragic fate. If there was a face of human sacrifice in the ancient world, this would have been it. 12 of such statues have been discovered at Jinsha. Archaeologists found these statues aligned in a certain formation together with stone tigers and bronze discs. What was the message that the ancient Shu people left behind? To get a clear sense of what the statue meant to the Shu people, I meet with Wang Fang, an archaeologist who has spent decades studying Shu artifacts. So, Professor Wang, let's talk about the statue. Why is it so important to the Shu people?
我们可以看到，你看这个人他很特殊，他的那个腿是双腿是跪地的，然后他的双手是反绑的后面，后面还有清出的有一个绳索的一个胶带，对，然后他的发饰也很特殊，我们可以看到他后面有2股辫发。但是你看它前面的那个发型啊，是中分的，向两边4角是翘起来的，就像一本我们形容它就像一本翻开的书。那么这种人像呢，实际上它也是代表了一种一定的特殊的宗教的含义。他跪坐的双手，他屈跪的那个肢体，那么它实际上是体现了一种比较低级的一种地位。这是一种说法。但是另外也有学者提出一种新的思路，就是说他这样的石跪坐人呢，也可能是当时的巫师。那么在这个干旱的季节，那么为了祈求上天富有生灵，那把自己的双手绑起来，把头发剪掉。然后去求雨的一种现象的这样的一种表现。
The kneeling statues may hint of the practice of human sacrifice. But to get to the bottom of it, I need to look at a very important clue. Human remains. And here at Jinsha, there are plenty. I'm in the downtown area of Chengdu called Jinsha. This is the site of an ancient kingdom named Shu, more than 3,000 years ago. I'm on a quest to find out if the ancient Shu people indeed practiced human sacrifice. One clue is to look up north, on the central plains of present-day Anyang. This was the ancient Shang capital. Here, the practice of human sacrifice has been well documented. Professor Li is with the Archaeological Institute of the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. He has helped to excavate on important relics from the Shang era. This is a Shang dynasty chariot, excavated at Anyang. The chariot is found buried in a tomb, complete with its horses and someone else.
这个就是陪葬坑，是不是？
这个是陪葬车马的坑，不是专门陪葬人的坑。墓族人的墓的没有陪葬这个车，他专门要挖掘一个陪葬车的一个坑，就把他的这个车辆生前使用过的这个车辆要陪葬起来。
是，那这个人是谁呢？
这个人我们认为是这辆车的御手。
为什么他被选来陪葬呢？
在这个夏商周吧。属于商代晚期的这个殷墟这个阶段，因为还属于奴隶社会。当他就是墓族人下葬的时候，他这个家里边的好多他雇佣的奴隶啊，或者佣人呐，可能什么等等吧，他的下人，在他死去的时候要对他进行陪葬。
It's clear the Shang culture practiced human sacrifice. But what about the Shu people? Experts believe there were strong cultural links between the Shang and Shu peoples. The two were in constant contact. If that's the case, could the Shu people also have used humans to appease their gods? My next clues are these 3,000-year-old human remains found in one of the burial sites.
What are we looking at? What's so special about this particular skull that we're seeing here?
He Kunyu is a forensic anthropologist who studies bone fragments in order to understand more about the ancient Shu people.
So I understand you've done research also at the burial sites at Jinsha. Can you tell us a little bit of your analysis based on the research of the human remains there?
我们发现一个非常特别的，有2个现象，就是说很有意思。 在几个墓地里面都出现这个情况，就是男性的死亡年龄集中在这个25到30岁。然后我们就是包括联系他这个随葬品，有些兵器啊之类的，我们就是推断他大概可能跟当时是不是有这个战争有关系。另外一个墓地里面，我们发现有这个俯身葬男，就是这样子趴在后面的，然后手是在后面的。我们就是怀疑他那种可能是作为一种葬服或者作为一种祭祀的。
And they looked as if like those statues that we found on the site of Jinsha.
Are these people the same as the people that were depicted in the statues? In the last few years, Chinese archaeologists had uncovered several burial sites containing more than 2,000 human remains. None of them, though, were royal graves. But still, I am convinced that these graves will reveal important clues about the Shu people, and if they indeed practiced a form of human sacrifice. To get to the bottom of this, I need to walk among the dead. And one of the first things that catches my eye, the ornate objects buried alongside the dead.
它有各式各样的东西，这里头请您介绍一下。
那我们可以看到，这个墓葬里面的话，这个随葬的玉器还有石器特别多。从它的这个体量上来说，都比较小。它可能就是当时为了这个墓葬专门做的一组名器。我们这里面看到有这种像类似这个石章的，也有看到一些这个石条的。这个在古蜀文化墓葬里面非常多的，就是在这个腹部随葬这个石条，这个是很常见的。所以它这个墓葬等级呢，应该说比周围的墓葬稍微要就是等级上要高一些，应该是代表当时这个上层的一个阶层或者是个贵族的一种的墓葬的形式。
Among the nobles of the Shu people, it's common for them to bury their dead with highly prized objects. But could that also include human capital? As an archaeologist, I've been trained to look for specific details at sites like these. Every single bone fragment counts. In one of the graves nearby, I see something that doesn't look quite right.
Oh my goodness, that looks like there's another person right there. There's another skeleton.
对，我们可以看到，在他的这个右手的话，他是这样做的这么一个这个形状的。在他的右手下面，我们还可以看到，经过我们鉴定，它还是人骨，还是这个属于我们人的这个小腿骨，就是胫骨。
So that's a leg bone right there.
他可能当时这个殉葬的不是一个完整的人，可能就是当时的一部分。要按照他完整的，他这个腿骨在下段的话，那么他就应该超出这个墓框的范围，就是正常的高度的话。
So the person that was actually sacrificed was already dismembered before it was buried underneath this man of high status.
是的，就是从我们现在发现情况来看，应该是这样子的。
This skeleton is obviously someone of great importance. And when he was buried, we can see that underneath him, to his right, there is evidence of human remains, of another human being. As archaeologists, we're open-minded and we have to explore other possibilities. We know for a fact that this practice had been practiced long before the Jinsha culture. This is a connection to the Shang dynasty in the Central Plain region. But I think I'm right. I think we just discovered something unique.
To the ancient Shu people, sacrifice, object or otherwise, was clearly important. But to whom were they sacrificing? One major clue, the discovery of an artifact that stuns archaeologists. I'm in Chengdu to investigate the lost city of Jinsha. Part of an ancient culture called Shu, the city was only discovered in 2001. For the Shu people, sacrifice precious objects or otherwise, was an important part of their culture. But who or what were these sacrifices for? A piece of the puzzle lies here. A thin gold foil, no larger than 12.5 centimeters in diameter, and only 0.2 millimeters thick. When it was first uncovered at the excavation site, it was found crumbled into a ball. It took several years of painstaking effort by archaeologists to restore it to its current state.
其中最重要的一个就是太阳神鸟大家可以看到它是中间是一个太阳的造型，周边有4只鸟，它整个这种太阳的光焰和这只鸟围绕它旋转的这么一个它平面6过千米。
王院长真的是非常荣幸。
Wang Yi looks after Chengdu's historical relics. He has been heading the archaeology teams at all of Sichuan's ancient heritage sites. Based on his research, he thinks the Shu people were culturally highly sophisticated.
古代蜀人，他的智慧，他的审美，那么贴附在是一个什么样的东西？现在我们还在进行研究。但是我们可以想象，在这个区域，古代蜀人心目当中是特别崇拜太阳，崇拜太阳神，所以有蜀犬吠日的这么一种说法。那么在他心目当中，他是向往光明的。
This fascination with the sun is perhaps not surprising. This is Chengdu on a regular day, overcast and foggy. For the ancient Shu people who heavily depended on bountiful harvest, the sun equates to life itself. Without it, starvation and death could become a reality. Now it makes sense to me. The sacrifices found at Jinsha may be a way for them to appease the sun god.
这个很有很大的气势。
But did the ancient Shu people only worship the sun? Wang tells me he doesn't think so. He thinks their faith system was more complex than that.
在古代蜀人是特别在意神的反应，特别在意，神的跟神的沟通。那个时候，当然我们知道那个时候是一个万物有灵的这么一个时代，也是一个众神时代。在古代蜀国，我们已经知道他的所有的他崇拜对象有动物神嘞，老虎这个象还有人神，大量的人神，包括太阳，包括这个自然神，还有大山江还有这个月亮
Less than 50 meters from the sacrificial zone, there is another clue that suggests this was a highly sacred site. The root of an ancient banyan tree. Archaeologist Zhang tells me this is no ordinary tree.
再次仔细看看，
是，真的是，从来没看过这么大的树。Why is this tree so special compared to other trees?
这棵树当时就在祭祀区的边上，它也在河滩边上。那么这棵树的话，目前来讲，它应该是直径达到1米多，将近2米的直径。那么应该说，我们想象当中，当初应该是非常高大的一棵树。那么它在祭祀区里边，应该说是把它当成那个地方的一个神树。
Based on other excavation results from later period, we think what they did with this particular tree was that they would decorate it with bronze bells. So when the wind blows, the bells would shake, and therefore creating this harmonious music that would be the music of heaven. This tree represented a connection. This was their connector between the people of Shu and heaven and their gods.
Today, only remnants of the tree's roots are left. But I'm curious to know if this holy tree was also where sacrifices were made. To find the answer, I need to travel 38 kilometers from Jinsha to Sanxingdui. I will examine a clue discovered at an archaeological site that predated Jinsha by hundreds of years. This is where ancestors of the Shu people once lived. Discovered in the late 1980s, it was the seat of power of the Shu kingdom around 1500 BCE. Like Jinsha, the excavation site has been turned into a museum. And I'm told one particular artifact holds the key to understanding the faith of the Shu people. A 4-meter bronze sculpture dubbed the Divine Tree of Sanxingdui. Buried for thousands of years, it was an object of sacrifice.
Professor, this is absolutely breathtaking. Most of us haven't seen anything like this before. Tell us, what exactly is this?
这个树可以说是目前我们知道的单件在世界上3000多年前最大的形成体之一，而且是最复杂的形成体之一。
是，
它是象征以天地、神灵、天堂和人神相通的，可能是在三星堆整个的祭祀活动一个中心位置。
What's the connection with the tree we found at Jinsha, though?
这些树和这个青铜神树是相关联的。这个青铜神树是照这样的树做一个树崇拜的一个标志物，因为当时的人们很相信树是生命的起源，又是生长的起源，又是通天的一条路，又是各种神奇的果实的生长地，也是神灵所居住的地方，又是天地人交往的一个中心。 所以，他把很多美好的信仰都集中在树。
Professor Zhao believes that the ancient Shu people would hang sacred objects on trees to express their faith. One such object is astounding not only for its sheer size, but also for its bizarre look. A gigantic bronze mask with large ears and protruding eyes. These are the famous Sanxingdui bronze giant masks.
Considering how big and magnificent the sculpture is, it must have been really important to the Shu people. What was it used for?
这一个件我们叫它大面具，它是一个面做成那个面具，实际上它是个神。在蜀国的时候，这样的神像在三星堆出土了很多个，啊，有的和真人大小相似，有的比真人还要大很多，显然不是装在人的头上能带着活动的，可能是戴在一个大的树或者大的建筑上。
At the Sanxingdui site, 3 of these giant masks have been unearthed. Like the other valuable artifacts found at Jinsha, these masks were also likely to be sacrificial items. These masks were clearly very important to the Shu people, but making them could not have been easy. One way to find out is by observing how these bronze masks are replicated today.
那么这个是施拉法。 按照当时的那个生产这个条件下，那么铸造一件青铜器，是相当困难的，要花很多工匠，很多工匠，他这个就是这样的大型的这个不是一次就铸造，而是通过2次铸造。这个是他的。
The ancient Shu people clearly show a strong devotion to their gods. They worship the sun, the earth, and the trees. But one thing still confounds me. Who does the bronze mask represent?
The Sanxingdui mask with the protruding eyes and the open ears. In Chinese, we call it 千里眼, the eyes that can see thousands of miles. The ears we call 招风耳, the ears that flutter in the wind. These are auspicious facial features to describe a person.
Could he be the king to whom the sacrifices were made? Or is he a shaman? Or is he God himself? The answer may lie with this small ornate figurine found at the Jinsha site. The statue may only be 15 centimeters tall. His large almond-shaped eyes are wide open. At the back, he wears a long three-stranded plait, and on his head, a round swirling hat. Archaeologists think he's an important figure in the ancient Shu society. Could he be the king of the Shu people? The one who led his people to sacrifice precious objects? For archaeologists, getting all the answers from a tiny relic isn't easy. I'm getting the help of modern technology to get a closer look at this rare artifact.
Modern technology is really amazing.
Yes.
What can this technology tell us that archaeologists cannot see?
Some relics are broken, so it needs to repair. So after we scan, you got the result. You can find out which part is loosened.
This bronze figure appears to be holding something that's missing. What could he be holding? And more importantly, who was he? The accidental archaeological discovery at Jinsha has revealed an ancient Chinese kingdom that's little known to the world. A key clue unearthed, a tiny bronze statue. Experts believe he was an important figure. Was he a divine leader to whom the sacrifices at Jinsha were made? My questions lead me back to Sanxingdui, where I'm told there's a similar statue. Only this time, size does matter. To investigate further, I arranged to meet with Professor Zhao once more. In 1986, he was one of the archaeologists who helped to excavate this similar but much larger bronze statue.
Who is he in the Shu culture?
我们目前看到的四川乃至全国甚至世界上3000多年前的最大的青铜人像之一，而且它的装饰非常华丽，站的位置非常高，所以它的身份很特殊。我们认为它是集人、神、巫一师一体的一个群巫之长，就是指挥着整个的巫师的活动，所以它是在整个三星堆的祭祀活动中间最有最高的地位。
What is he holding in his hands?
有几种说法，有的认为是拿着宗，有的认为拿着是祭祀的杖，也很可能拿的是象牙，因为这个正好是上面比较大，下边略小，而且呈弯曲状。拿象牙是一个祭祀的重要形式。
The large bronze statue in Sanxingdui and the smaller ones in Jinsha are likely to hold the same status. Based on the clues we have so far, I know he's likely to be someone with divine powers. A shaman with a direct connection to the heavens. But could he also be the king and ruler of the Shu people? The Shu left behind no written records. What little we know about them comes from an ancient manuscript, the Huayang Guozhi, written 1,000 years after the Shu's demise. The first king of the Shu people was named Cancong, and it is recorded in this ancient text that he had protruding eyes, feature that was unique to the gods. Everything now clicks. The two separate paths of worship and kingship converge at this crucial clue. The Shu ruler was not only a king, he was also God. As king and god, the Shu ruler held great influence over his subjects. Did this translate into immense wealth for him and his people? Could this then be the reason why so many valuable objects were sacrificed at Jinsha?
Historically, the Sichuan Basin has always been one of the richest areas in all of China. It produced large quantities of copper, silver, cinnabar, and as you can see, all kinds of precious stones. No wonder we call this paradise on earth.
Rich natural resources mark the affluence of the Sichuan Basin. Not to mention the most precious of all metals, gold. Not surprisingly, in 2007, archaeologists at Jinsha also struck gold, literally.
金的器物在中国的北方地区基本没有，但是在古书文化当中，它的数量是特别的大。比如说在金沙的话，已经出土了300多件金器，那么这应该是中国同时期出土金器最多的一个遗址。
And most remarkably, a mysterious object emerged from the ground.
“如果它没有纹饰的话，那就肯定是它一个造型。没有文字，没有文字。这么好的东西，这个比那个还要3年好像。我估计啊，这是梨子啊！哇，看，金面具，这个金面具。
A gold mask. Masks are an age-old cultural phenomenon shared by all ethnic groups of China. Masks were given the functions of communicating with gods, bringing blessings, driving away ghosts, and warding off diseases. But a gold mask can be afforded only by the rich and the powerful. Could this be a spiritual object used by the divine king? Did he wear it to conduct sacrificial rituals?
So what's the significance of this mask? Was it used by the Shu king as part of the worship?
那么这种面具呢，很多专家考证的话，它的地位可能比其他的地位更高一点。 那么可能就我们在想的话，当初蜀王可能戴上那个面具，他那个时候就变成了那个国家最大的一个巫师，最大的一个祭祀者。这样的话，他最好的和神灵、天地进行一种沟通。
So when he puts on the golden mask, the king becomes God.
Mind-blowing. Thirsty to know the extent of power the Shu God King had over his subjects, I head to a site where a vital clue has been unearthed: his palace.
那次发掘之后，它的面积非常大，布局也非常规整，应该是一次性建成的。实际上，2000年之后的话，还进行了2次发掘。实际上，目前来看，这个面积是非常大，大概是差不多1万平方米以上。1万平方米？对，1万平方米以上就是。
The vast area of the palace indicates a wealthy king who requires a massive amount of space to store great possessions. But what fascinates me the most is the numerous peripheral houses.
6号房。
讲解一下这个范围有多大？
实际上，除了这个建筑以外的话，它那个地方还有3个建筑，一个是这个地方有一个建筑，我们把它称之为5号房子。中间那个地方有一个小的一个建筑，还有一个小的一个方形的一个建筑。 实际上，在这个位置上还有一个建筑。
Around the palace zone was a large number of smaller houses.
each no more than 20 square meters in area. Archaeologists have speculated that these were the houses of those people who served the people living inside the palace zone. It's now clear to me the Shu kingdom was not only wealthy, but also elite and hierarchical. But there's another piece of the puzzle that may just reveal how wealthy and powerful this kingdom was. For Jinsha was where archaeologists made another unprecedented discovery. You guys have to capture this. This is ivory coming up. Jinsha's discovery in 2001 rocked the archaeological world. It changed the way historians view the history of ancient China. I'm about to witness a dramatic revelation at this site. The world's largest cache of ivory. What she's doing here is to apply a special concoction they invented here because they have to perform this type of triage to these ancient tusks. We know that one of the chemicals used is protein. It's a concoction to stabilize these elephant tusks as they are uncovered. Buried for over 3,000 years, these ivory are extremely brittle and have to be protected with extreme care. The longest ivory piece measures 1.85 meters. But why so much ivory? Was this the ultimate sacrifice for the gods? My questions lead me back to Professor Wang. She holds a jade blade with a strange carving. This is one of the most interesting pieces I've seen with this pattern on the jade. What is it?
这件器物把它称为平行四边形的玉章。这件玉章它最特别的地方就是在它的上下和两面都刻画着一个人物。那么这个人呢是在干嘛呢？他是侧跪着，肩上扛着一根象牙。
It's a man in profile, wearing a short skirt,
and he wears a mask over his face, and we can see that he's carrying an elephant tusk over his shoulder.
We believe this is a pictorial representation of a ritual that involves a shaman carrying these elephant tusks. This is how we can explain this large quantity of elephant tusks that we found at the site.
All these pieces of the puzzle finally seem to come together. The unparalleled treasure troves of ivory, jade, and gold reveal how Jinsha was a land of great power and prosperity. They were a deeply spiritual people who held on strongly to their faith. But there's one final question. How did their civilization disappear? Till today, archaeologists and historians are baffled by the demise of a city of such stature. One theory, earthquakes destroy the city and its people. In 2008, an earthquake hit Sichuan. It was one of the most devastating natural disasters in China's recent history. Over 80,000 people killed. Many more lost their homes. These are the reminders of nature's wrath. If an earthquake of such magnitude had also hit Jinsha 3,000 years ago, it would have wiped out an entire people. But not all experts agree. Retired historian and archaeologist Xiang has spent a better part of his life researching on the Shu people. Professor Lin, we know this area is historically known for major earthquakes. Do you think it's possible that earthquake was one of the reasons or a major reason that led to the demise of the Shu people?
我曾经做过很仔细的成都地区的这个地震考古的调查，发现古建筑的破坏程度都低于7度，或者7度左右吧，这么一个情况。因此呢，金沙受地震直接的影响不大。
There's another theory that Professor Lin feels could explain the kingdom's downfall. The answer he thinks lies here, 35 miles away from Jinsha.
这就是岷江，是造就成都平原的水利，但是这个水呢，常常因为上游的雨水太大了以后，就要爆炸。有时候呢，水少了要干旱，所以这个地方呢，一直呢就成了一个治水的重要的地方。
This great body of water was both the reason to the rise of the Shu people, but also their demise. When this great flood happened, Sanxingdui, which was a flourishing capital at the time, was completely annihilated as a result of this deluge.
This was what could have happened 3,000 years ago. Today, the ground is dry, largely because of the Dujiangyan irrigation system that was built in the 3rd century BCE. It is the only ancient irrigation system in China that's still in use. It diverts the waters and dramatically reduces the threat of floods, turning Chengdu into a land of abundance and great prosperity. But during the ancient Shu period, these rising waters would have easily destroyed their kingdom.
Did they make sacrifices to the water to pacify it as a form of a deity?
我们看到了这个很多的象牙和玉器和金器，它主要是祭水神的遗迹。
真的？
因为那个地方本来是个古河道，这个河道呢，里面呢水涨起来以后，就容易把周围偏的，所以它在河边上要进行祭祀。祭祀的目的呢，是求得这个水神不要泛滥，不要成灾，让他们那个农业能够有好的收成。
Now it all makes sense to me. The practice of sacrifice was likely a desperate solution for the Shu people and their god king facing the wrath of the water gods. And when rising waters finally engulfed their city, they had no choice but to relocate. Until today, archaeologists do not know where the Shu people migrated to after they left Jinsha. The hunt is still on in many parts of Chengdu for potential excavation sites.
I see workers in the field. This is what field excavation really looks like. This is a huge site. The moderns living with an ancient. As you can see around us, real estate is developing really quickly at Chengdu. This is one of the few areas left in the city of Chengdu that they can carry out this large-scale excavation. For thousands of years, the Shu people have remained buried in silence, with barely any evidence of their existence. On my journey, I've discovered a powerful, wealthy, and deeply religious civilization. I have no doubt that more secrets will be uncovered at Jinsha. But until then, these remain the mysteries of China.